that this included the basketball courts. We make sure that that is clear. Page 6. Okay, last motion on page 6, we're talking about the recreational dock upgrades. Luke, I believe you stepped down from that.
I did. Thank you.
So Luke has to be taken out, and in the beginning of the discussion, we should have Luke step down. Okay. And page 9. Okay. When it says public input, instead of saying the chamber lady, it should be Mary DeVries. Okay? Can I have a motion to accept as amended?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next one is the October 7th budget meeting. Does anybody have any corrections or changes? Hearing none, can I have a motion to accept?
So move. Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. October 12th, again, it's a budget meeting. And on page 6, and it's under Pop Whalen. It is the 1, 2, 3, 4 sentence down. It reads, Ms. Carpentier noted this budget also is $25,000 encumbered for a motor house project. Is there a motor house project for Pop Whalen, or is that a mistake and it was really Abenaki? That's what I thought. So that needs to be removed, that sentence. All right. Any others, corrections? Hearing none, can I have a motion to accept as amended?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're done with those. Next item on the agenda are 2 public hearings. I'll open up the first public hearing. It's the Wolfeboro Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, October 20th, 2021, at approximately 6:30 p.m. at the Great Hall Town Hall, 84 South Main Street, Wolfeboro, New Hampshire, for the acceptance of unanticipated funds in excess of $10,000 in accordance with RSA 31:95-B3A to accept an anonymous cash donation in the amount of $31,000 to the town of Wolfeboro to fund the employee holiday celebration, with the remaining funds to assist the town's welfare recipient if there is a need. Is there anybody here to talk to this?
So this is a donation that we've received in effort to hold our Christmas party annually, which we're hoping to be able to hold in this very room.
Okay. I'll open up the public hearing. Anybody want to make any comments? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Board members, any comments or questions? I want to thank this anonymous donor. I'm sure the staff will appreciate a holiday party celebration. Can I have a motion?
Move to accept anticipated funds in excess of $10,000 in accordance with RSA 31:95B3A to accept an anonymous cash donation in the amount of $31,000 to the town of Wolfeboro to fund an employee holiday celebration, with the remaining funds to assist town welfare recipients if there is a need.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ready. The next public hearing is the Wolfeboro Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, October 20th, 2021, at approximately 6:30 p.m. at the Great Hall Town Hall, 84 South Main Street, Wolfeboro, New Hampshire, for the acceptance of unanticipated funds for an amount awarded that is less than $10,000 in accordance with RSA 31:95-B3 little a, related to a donation from the Friends of the Wolfeboro Town Hall, remaining asset valued approximately $9,000 for the purpose of maintaining and/or repairing the clock located in Brewster Memorial Hall Tower, also known the Wolfeboro Town Hall, as the Friends of the Wolfeboro Town Hall has voted to dissolve the organization on October 2nd, 2021. I'm going to open up the public hearing. Does somebody like to come and speak to us on this?
Good evening. My name is Joyce Davis, and I'm representing the Friends of Town Hall. Many of you may know that in 2007, we incorporated for the stated mission of informing and educating the community about the rehabilitation of Town Hall and to advocate for its public and private funding. Well, our mission has been accomplished, and our Board of Trustees met earlier this month to begin the process of dissolving the organization. One of the requirements of the dissolution is the distribution of any remaining assets to an organization with a similar purpose. It is our wish, set in a motion approved by the board on October 2nd, to distribute the remaining assets of approximately $8,300 to the town of Wolfeboro. Our motion reads as follows: to dissolve the Friends of Wolfeboro Town Hall and distribute all of the corporation's remaining assets, consisting of a checking account at Meredith Village Savings Bank, to the town of Wolfeboro, to be placed in a non-lapsing donation account to be used solely for the repair and maintenance of the town hall clock located in the tower of Town Hall.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience who'd like to speak to this donation? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Board members, I am on the board of the Friends of the Wolfeboro Town Hall, and I am your representative. I did not vote on this amendment or motion so that I would be able to vote tonight. So does anybody have any questions, concerns? Hearing none, can I have a motion?
Move to accept the unanticipated funds less than $10,000 in accordance with RSA 31:95B3, lowercase a, to accept a donation from the Friends of the Wolfeboro Town Hall, remaining assets valued at approximately $8,300 for the purpose of maintaining and/or repairing the clock located in Brewster Memorial Hall Tower, also known as the Wolfeboro Town Hall, as the Friends of the Wolfeboro Town Hall has voted to dissolve the organization on October 2nd, 2021.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much for your donation. Well, we know how long that could take. All right, next item on the agenda is public input. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to give us any public input? Hearing none, we'll move on to the bulk vote. The weekly manifest, October 8th, 2021, it was $938,524. October 15th, it was $683,770.72. There is a current use applications. There are two of those. There's a property tax exemption and credit, and that's it. Any board members have any issues with the bulk vote? Hearing none, can I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ready. We have no appointments. First item on the agenda is the appointment of a treasurer.
Good evening. Good evening, Kathy Carpentier. On the 2021 ballot, warrant article was approved to transition to an appointed treasurer. John Burt, the long-term elected treasurer, has indicated his intention to retire from his elected position. John has also indicated that he would be willing to train and help in the transition. We had a few inquiries, but only one interested individual that would like to be considered for the position. I'd like to introduce you to Carl Baggy. He is interested in the position of appointed treasurer. I've met with him on a few occasions. He has also had the opportunity to meet with the town manager, the chairman of the board, and the treasurer. He is ready to begin training immediately and will coordinate training with John Burt. Please allow me to introduce Carl Baggy and ask him to give a brief history of his professional career and his connection with the town of Wolfeboro. Carl?
Good evening. My name is Carl Baggy. My wife and I reside here in Wolfeboro. We've had a vacation home here for several years and decided that this is the place we'd like to retire. So about 3 years ago, we started to wind down. A couple years back, we did purchase a permanent home, and we retired. I've been a certified public accountant for 40-some-odd years. I actually am a New Hampshire CPA. At the time I passed the exam, I was living in Keene back in 1978 or 79. Subsequently moved to Fossfield, Connecticut, and got my credentials as a CPA in Connecticut. While I lived in Fossfield, I was on the Board of Finance. I was on the Economic Development Commission, active in the JCs in the town, coached baseball, coached soccer, all the things a young dad would do. Excuse me. The kids grew up, and in any event, I've been basically self-employed for my entire professional career with the exception of the first few years. I've been an auditor primarily. CPAs generally have different specialties and areas. I've been a corporate auditor most of my life, along with taxation. Never really got into the town audits, although our firm did perform town audits. It wasn't my area, but this isn't rocket science. I think debits are still debits and credits are still credits when we come to the town finances. So my wife is the ultimate person that donates her time. She's a volunteer for almost everything. And I've done that pretty much my whole life with the exception of the past few years when I learned to say no. Every organization I belonged to, I was always the treasurer or the president. So for the last few years, I skated, and it's time to get back in. I was a little concerned when I saw the ad in the paper and in a couple of different areas, and nobody was coming forward. And I said, why isn't anybody stepping up to the plate? So I sent an email over to Catherine, and we ended up talking. And I'd like the consideration. Be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Or any board members have a question? Well, thank you very much for stepping forward. We've been hunting for an appointed treasurer, and we look forward to you joining us here at the town hall and local government.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. The next item on the agenda is an appointment, and we were noticed today that Josephine cannot make it.
Madam
Yep.
Chairperson, I believe we need to make a motion for the appointment.
Okay. I'm moving too fast tonight. All right. I need a motion to appoint the treasurer. Did he make that motion?
Move to appoint Carl Baggy, a resident of Wolfeboro, to the position of appointed treasurer with a term to start January 1st, 2022 and end December 31st, 2024, with training and transition to start immediately and to be completed no later than January 31st, 2022.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Now we can table appointment B, Josephine Amatucci. Now, we have an appointment by Dan Corneliuson.
This item is going to be tabled, Chairperson. There was an error in the notice. Therefore, it will be tabled to the next meeting.
Thank you. The next item, September actuals versus expenditures.
Good evening. Before you is September 2021 actuals. We are 9/12 through the year, or 75%. We're trending at 78.8% in the general fund and about 56% in the general fund revenue. The revenue will be realized after the second tax bill is delivered. I am not aware of any concerns as we go through the budget deliberations for 2022. We are looking at things, and no items have jumped off the page as areas of concern, as long as the snow doesn't come. Keep your fingers crossed. We've been kind of busy. As you know, we're halfway done with Board of Selectmen budget hearings, and things seem to be going very well. Today I did send out an RFP for audit services, so I think that that's at the request of the Board of Selectmen. For the first time, I gave you a donation reconciliation. We've been collecting a lot of donations, including the 9,000 amount this evening. I just wanted you to see we are keeping a close eye on that. And just as of last week, it does look like 5 communities have had their tax rate set, so we're waiting to be contacted by the Department of Revenue there. The notice on the revenues, I did want to make 2 points. We were informed by the state of New Hampshire that we would be getting another $145,000 in meals and rooms tax. I guess in the state it's up 45%, which is great. So we had budgeted $320,000, and we'll be getting an additional $145,000, which is great news for this year, but it will not probably carry forward till next year because the tax, the meals and rooms tax has decreased from 9 to 8.5%. So I'm not sure we can count on that for next year. And I do want to follow up with the chairman. Last month you asked about the water tower lease and armory rent. We are having some difficulties, as they joke, check is in the mail, with some checks showing up in timely manner. So they did void 2 months of checks that we never received and reissued, and on October 4th we did get a check for 3 months. So it is up to date now. So.
Thank you for looking into that for me.
Do you have any other questions with September's reports?
Any board members have any questions? Thank you very much. Okay. Next item on the agenda is a memorandum of understanding for salt with Huggins Hospital.
So I'll speak to this. Last year, we went into a pilot agreement with Huggins Hospital to provide their salt, and as opposed to them maintaining the salt on site. The pilot program has seemed to work well. It seems to be a benefit to Huggins Hospital, and it does a good job at helping us, or helping them and us, to protect the lake. Therefore, Dave Ford and I have spoken on this, and we would like to continue the pilot program for another year and see how it works out going forward.
I'm assuming there are no changes in here from last year's. We got the identical agreement.
Just the dates have changed.
Does any board members have any questions or concerns? I think it worked out well last year. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to authorize the chairman of the Board of Selectmen and the town manager to sign a memorandum of understanding between the town of Wolfeboro and Huggins Hospital dated today, expires in November of 2022.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Next item on the agenda is Lakes Region Pickleball flag at Fossfield. Is there somebody here who'd like to speak to that?
Good evening. My name is Joe Santoro from Wolfeboro. I'm here along with George Van de Heiden in the back, also from the Lakes Region Pickleball Club. And we're here tonight to receive assent, hopefully, to form an exploratory committee to determine whether a flagpole and or a patriotic monument could or should be positioned at Fossfield. To give you some brief background, our pickleball club every year, when we have our tournaments, starts each day's event with either the singing of, the playing of the national anthem. This year, we also included, on September 11th, a ceremony honoring the folks who died some 20 years ago. We had one of our players play a trumpet at 8:46 a.m. Now, that movement and the emotional response we received caused us to think that maybe something more should be added to Fossfield. In the background, we have always placed a handheld flag to one of the fences. And only recently did we discover that there's already a flagpole there near the parking lot, hidden in the trees, that no one ever observed before. But nevertheless, we think that something more elaborate or significant should be erected. So what we have done is talk with the American Legion, the Department of Public Works, and the Wolfeboro Parks and Recreation Department to see if there's some feasibility to creating a larger flagpole, a taller flagpole, that can be viewed all the way across Fossfield and also potentially across the Smith River, so that those who have a sense of patriotism or respect for the flag will have a direction to point to or view as assemblies or ceremonies of patriotic significance may arise. Now, we recognize that this weekend a charrette is going to form to discuss issues related to Fossfield, and we are prepared to attend that. All we're looking for tonight is a sense of whether the Board of Selectmen will initially support the theoretical proposal to establish a patriotic center at some site to be determined on Fossfield itself.
Board members? Anyone?
Would this be, would we be removing the other flagpole potentially, or?
It could be, but I don't want to speak to that. All I can tell you is the American Legion is 100% behind creating a better, larger flagpole that can be more visible. The exact location, it would be determined in coordination with town employees.
And if we did this, who would maintain it? Is it then going to be the town to maintain, or are you going to look at another way?
Our plans at the moment are to fund it entirely through private donations, but to have it maintained by the American Legion.
The American Legion has agreed to that, correct?
Yes.
Board members, anybody else? I have no problem you putting together an exploratory committee and bring us back something concrete that we can see, and meet with Christine Collins, who is in charge of Fossfield, and she
Yes.
runs the programs there, so she is probably the one who would know best how that area is used, and put together a plan and run it by the town manager. And
I believe Christine is in support in theory of what we're trying to do, and I believe she'll be with us at the charrette, or at least be monitoring the charrette to hear what we have to say about it.
yeah, but I think you need to work with her too as you
definitely.
go to develop this, that she is the one who's going to, it's her area, and she's going to have to get mowers in there and everything else, so she's going to be,
We're hoping she's going to be on our exploratory committee.
oh, I hope you have her there too. Is there any other questions from board members?
Do you want to say something?
Okay. So we'll look forward to you coming back.
Do you have anything to say? Okay. Thank you, folks. I assume that means it's not a negative so far. You're willing to let us go
I'm
forward.
absolutely
Thank you.
to let you explore it. All righty. Next item on the agenda is approval of the Building Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund, Public Safety Building, Fire Apparatus Door. Is there somebody here who'd like to speak to that?
Acting Chief Tom Zotti will be here to speak. As you're aware, we've recently ordered a new ladder truck for the town. One of the issues with this type of apparatus, even the one we had, it was a very close fit going out the door. Therefore, the height of this new truck is taller, while in theory, it's very close. We don't want to play on theory, so the chief has moved forward with getting some quotes to increase the height of the door, which was engineered, so that this new piece of apparatus will fit in the building without issue. Chief?
That pretty well sums it up. And this was the door that was damaged. Time goes by, 10 years ago now. We had that issue with the old ladder truck in the parking lot and the columns of the apparatus bay. And they were able to somewhat restore that door, and it's got some wear and tear, and we're, I think, trying to address a few issues at the same time, and here we are.
Okay. Board members, anybody have any comments or questions? Hearing none, can I have a motion?
I'll move to authorize an expenditure from the Building Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund, Public Safety Building Fire Apparatus Door Repair Replacement, not to exceed the cost of $22,500.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? I'm assuming we have plenty of money in that account.
Yeah, there is plenty of money right off the top of my head. I can't tell you, but there's certainly plenty of money.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All righty.
Thank
You
you.
got approval. Next item on the agenda is the 2022 through 2031 Capital Improvement Program Report.
Yes, good evening. My name is Kathy Barnard. I'm the chairman of the planning board. I'm here along with Tavis Austin to present the 2022 to 2031 capital improvement program. The plan was adopted by the planning board after a public hearing was held last night. This plan is an advisory plan to aid the Board of Selectmen and Budget Committee as they consider the capital needs for 2022. The Capital Improvement Program is a 10-year guide for all capital improvements expected by the town. These are developed after meeting with the town manager and the department heads and considering the needs of the town, as well as the impact on the tax rate. I want to thank all of the members of the CIP, Linda Murray from the Board of Selectmen, Bob Lohman from the Budget Committee, Mike Hodder, Planning Board member, and our three citizen members, Paul Whalen, Suzanne Ryan, and Chuck Sumner, as well as the town manager and all of the department heads. These members and the town personnel spend a great deal of time and effort preparing the plan. The committee is well aware of the cost of all of these items in the capital improvement plan. It's in excess of $26 million. In some cases, the items have been proposed because of the possibility of grants. In other cases, the projects will be funded through fundraising efforts, such as the library landscaping committee and the renovation to the Pop Whalen facility phase 2. These projects will not go ahead unless the grants have been obtained and the funds, in the case of the last two, have been raised. The spreadsheet shows all the items the committee is aware of. Some of the project in later years have a sort of a ballpark figure and will be adjusted as we get closer to that year when the project is to be considered. All of these projects are spread out considering the needs of the town and the impact on the taxpayers. Also included are several capital reserve accounts which again consider the impact on the taxpayers by adding yearly to these accounts. I'll now turn this over to Tavis, who will review the proposed projects. Thank you.
So in short, the packet that was presented to you for your packet should seem very familiar to you. It outlines what the CIP is, how it's created, includes the membership, what the purpose of the CIP is. You can see the department guidelines that this body then sent down to the planning board to be disseminated out to the department heads. It's clarifying that projects in the CIP are projects or improvements that cost $100,000 or more. There's quite a bit of discussion about that at this year's CIP because one project in particular only needed $50,000. So there was great debate about whether it should be in the CIP, but the actual project itself was $302,000. That's where I'm bringing this up not to pick on the police department council, but I'm bringing it up because the descriptions of each of the projects, beginning on page 8 of the packet that you were handed and going back to the spreadsheets, the dollar figures represented in the project descriptions is the exact dollar figure that was presented from the department head. They are not penny specific. They are the best understanding, best estimate, best number to use as a guide for CIP purposes. So perhaps the easiest thing to do is to look at the spreadsheet itself. The first spreadsheet in your packet is the all-inclusive package, or the all-inclusive project list. As Kathy mentioned, it does total for 2022 $26,069,000. Now we're going to chip away at that a little bit. That column under 2022 is based on all the department heads submitted figures for the projects, and this spreadsheet represents all of the submitted projects. I would draw your attention under project name. If you go down to the 4th line, you'll see Filterbed Road, Municipal Parking, and Memorial Park. It has an asterisk after it. I'm pointing that out because that and the one below it, each which have an asterisk, were not recommended by the CIP committee. So look at the money we're saving. We already pulled $155,000 off of the $26 million price tag. To that end, there is a reference in here as to what fund or what fund is the source of the money for the projects, as was called out on the project sheets. As Kathy mentioned, some of the projects are only proposed on the option of state grant monies. So when you look at many of the projects relating to the water projects, the renovation of the sewer treatment plant, or the upgrades to the treatment plant, all of those are on the list. The water treatment plant upgrades, for example, $1.4 million. The replacement of the water treatment plant, $10 million. All of those are on the list because they were projects that were submitted, but when you go into the earlier detail that I described, it shows that they're only coming in with grant funding. Why that can't be specified is we don't yet know how each of those individual grants are going to rank with the state and what monies are going to become available. But the projects have been ranked based on the department head. In the case of water lines, of course, it was Dave Ford. Here's my recommendation for ranking. Obviously, that's going to get scuttled a little bit based on the grant availability, et cetera. To be clear, if you go through a layer deeper and go through the minutes of the CIP committee, you'll see that there was a discussion that the projects were recommended based on the funding sources outlined in the project request. Those are not identified in this sort of executive summary, if you will. Some are 50-50. If it's a 60-40, how else does it get funded? How does the numbers get jiggled? That's why you guys get the big bucks. So all of this information you have is, as I suggested, a good executive summary. Behind this are the actual department head requests, and I can make that available if you want to do a deeper dive on any of the projects. I will say this is my first year with the CIP in Wolfeboro. I asked at the onset why it was a 12-week process. I now know. This is a very thorough document that covers just about every page of the gamut that Wolfeboro has to offer. So I share with Kathy the commendation to the committee and the work.
Tavis, am I correct in seeing that the Libby Museum is out for 2026?
Correct. And there was a lot of discussion behind that. Discuss that later.
Any other board members have any questions? Thank you very much. Yep.
One quick question. Alice, I didn't notice this last night when we presented this to the planning board, but on the sidewalks, on the spreadsheet, you have the asterisks beside the Bay Street sidewalks there. On the fifth one down, right underneath Filter Bed Road. But in the memorandum, Bay Street sidewalks is recommended 4-1, 4-1 and 1. But the capital reserve one on page 10 of the memorandum document was not recommended. It seems like spreadsheet's backwards from what the memorandum is.
You're correct. This is what you get from looking at the same spreadsheet for 12 weeks in a row. The asterisks are in the wrong.
Yeah. I assume
Amended,
the
yes.
document is the correct one with the
Correct.
votes on it. Yep.
The $55,000 for the sidewalks on Bay Street was recommended. That's looking at right-of-way and engineering for the Bay Street sidewalks. The $50,000 that was not recommended was the capital reserve fund for sidewalks as sidewalk options became available.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? If any of you do, you can ask Tavis for the backup material. Okay. Ready.
Madam Chairperson, do we need a motion to support that document?
Move to support the 2022 to 2031 Capital Improvements Program Report.
Second.
I thought we just were given it.
I don't know. Not sure.
I don't think we usually support it, we just receive it. I would
It's not
just
really
say
our
that we
document.
move to receive.
Okay.
We'll just change it, support to receive.
Okay. Amend a motion to move to receive the 2022-2031 Capital Improvements Program Report.
And you made a second.
Second. Yep.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, next item on the agenda, assessing service contract, town manager.
Yeah, so as you're aware, we put out an RFP for assessing services. We received one bid on the document that was published. We've got a couple more final details to work out on that document, and Mr. Hayward was not able to be here this evening in addition to that. So move to table this to the next meeting.
All right. Can I have a motion to table that?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Elderly increase in income limits.
So you have a memo in your packet. This is just something to be considering over the next few weeks before we get into that season of creating warrant articles. We're just about there. This exemption has not been revisited since 2008, and it's recommended that we do look at this exemption. If you have any questions about this going forward, please reach out to me. I will get clarification from Mr. Haywood, but it's something for you guys to be considering as we get into warrant article season.
Jim, did you say that when we look at the contract, Mr. Hayward will be here? Maybe that would be a good time for him to
Follow up with it.
fill out. Yeah, that would be real nice. Okay. I need a motion to go into a Libby trustees meeting.
So move.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All righty. Brad and Brian worked on this. Brad, do you want to kind of lead us off with this?
Sure. We met probably, week and a half or so ago, with Alana, Kari, and Tom Goodwin, Brian and myself, and Mr. Pinio. Sat down and discussed the portion of the MOU regarding the strategic business plan and the economic viability study. In our discussions there, the members from the Friends of Libby agreed that they'd like to partner with us, as we had spoke about in our previous Selectmen's meeting. There's trustees there to, I believe we had a vote and everything to partner with them, to join them and have a an effort with both boards working together to develop these plans. And we did speak about developing a committee to do that, and that committee then would take it upon themselves to come up with the how to do the financing part of it. The discussions of the Friends appeared to be that they'd be more than willing to partner in the cost sharing of this also, as we spoke about with at our meeting. We know we have some money from the Schroth fund to use towards it. And so what we came up with was some language that the Friends of Libby and the Libby trustees agree to partner in the implementation of a strategic business plan and economic viability study, as referred to in the September 15th, 2021 minutes of the Libby trustees on page 3, Annex 2. That's kind of where we had it, ended up with that discussions at the meeting that day. And we're bringing this information forward to our meeting today to see if we want to kind of reword that line there under responsibilities and goals of Friends of Libby Museum, into this partnership to develop these plans.
Okay, Brian?
I have just a few issues with everything. I want the Libby to succeed. I think it's a vital part of our community. However, if you read the motions from September 22nd, the final motion made by Brad Harriman made a motion to sign the MOU, and it was seconded by Luke Freudenberg. The first payment in 2023 will be a warrant article for the town's 30%, and before that, a business plan and economic viability study plan will be conducted. And then it was voted on, and the motion passed. But at our working meeting, it became apparent that the Friends of the Libby Museum do not want to work with the town to get that business plan and that economic viability study done before we put out a warrant article. I spent a bit of time, and I found a representative from the state of New Hampshire that will work with the Friends of the Libby in the town, Krista Rodriguez, and she will do a business plan with us, so that makes it easy for us, be at no cost. I found at least one company, Oxford Economics, and I managed to find that we did have the account, the Schroff account, that's available that we can use to help support that study, but still the Friends of the Libby don't want that study done before a warrant article goes out. My problem, and my opinion is that if we're going to spend $1 million, which is going to be funded by the taxpayers, and rebuild the museum, how much longer do the taxpayers have to keep funding the museum before the Friends of the Libby take over the museum? And it was stated by Alana at the working meeting that she thought that it would be something that we might be looking at the Friends of the Libby becoming trustees in 15 years. That was the years. 15 years is a long time for the people in Wolfeboro to spend $1 million rebuilding a museum and then funding the expenses of the museum with no end in sight, and without a we're going to the taxpayers for money, and we can't tell them, oh, you're going to have to float the museum for this many years, and it's going to cost you this much a year. Well, we don't know because we have no studies. We have no information for you. I think that's very unfair to the taxpayers in Wolfeboro.
Fred?
Yeah, at that meeting, when we were talking about developing these studies and everything, part of the discussion centered around the fact that the time frame for the Friends of Libby to get into position to, take over or, start taking the management part of the museum would be determined by the studies, the information that comes out of the studies and the recommendations of the two studies. I didn't get the impression at all that it was going to be 15 years out there, before it's even considered or anything. It was pretty much an...
Alana said 15 years.
I could finish, Brian, please. It was pretty much a discussion that it could be, could be a few years, could be later. It all depends on what information comes out from the studies. And also, we also agreed to put an RFP out for the studies here, and we decided that the town would put out the RFP and manage that, because it would be going through the town, and get the study started, as soon as we approve and sign an MOU here. There's nothing was stated at all that we weren't going to finish it by the time the 2023 warrant articles go out. We don't know how long it would take. It would depend on when we choose our vendor to do the studies for us, and at that time we'd have a better feel for what the time frame would be when the studies would be completed and stuff. We weren't sure if it could be 100% completed by the end of 2022, or might easily be done by then, and we don't know until we get the information out, maybe have our interviews with the companies that respond to the RFP, and kind of go from there. So
Okay. I guess I'll speak up now. First of all, I would like to update the public on the Board of Selectmen and the Libby trustees meeting with Tom Donovan, Director of New Hampshire Charitable Trust, on October 12th. Mr. Donovan stated, "It is unusual for a town to be running a museum. Very few, if any, do in the state." He explained that a change in trustees would need to go through the probate court, and his department could help. He advised that a management plan should be created, which includes an economic feasibility section. Both the Friends of the Libby Museum and the town should work on that management plan. Asked whether the town could just give the museum back to the court, Mr. Donovan said, "No. There needs to be another entity willing to take over the trusteeship and would have to have the financial capability to financially run the Libby Museum. I believe that the town should get out of the business of running a museum, and therefore, as soon as possible, the town should pass the running of the Libby Museum over to another nonprofit entity. It is my hope that the Friends of the Libby Museum will be that nonprofit entity. The Friends of the Libby Museum first suggested of taking over the Libby Museum in its draft MOU to the Board of Selectmen in the beginning of 2021. Here is a sentence in the MOU that addresses a much larger role for the Friends of the Libby Museum, and I quote, "As the role of the Libby Museum increases in this strategic partnership, the museum want to develop a strategic partnership. It should help with the taxpayers' cost." I would reword this section of the MOU to read, "The Friends of the Libby Museum will aspire to build a growing endowment, aiming at $1 million, in order to pay half the endowment revenue to help cover the taxpayers' costs, and half the revenue to expand the program. This change in in wording, I think the town and the Friends would have a winning formula and show the voters exactly what is meant by a strategic partnership. Luke or Dave, do you want to say anything?
I think there's, how do we get from what Linda just talked about, what Brian just talked about, to, getting this thing signed and getting it on its way. And I think, as Brian discussed, those two items were voted on in that motion that Brad made and I seconded. And I think those are critical items going forward for the town to see that, moving forward, we have those plans set in place so that we know where we're going and the Friends know where they're going. And it's not an effort to say, okay, we'll do a study and then, oh, we don't like what the study says and we're going to pull back funding. This is an effort to see how we move forward in a comprehensive way that, and formulate ideas and concepts that's going to make this building and the Libby successful for generations to come. And it's not I don't see it as a roadblock. I see it as an avenue to enhance the entire effort. And I think it can be done. And I think the town and the Friends can work together and get these things done in a pretty quick amount of time. And as Brad said, we could put out an RFP. And I feel like we can get those two things done and be on to what the motion called for and having this money set aside in 2023. So that's where my hope is.
Well said, Lou. And like any businessman, I mean, this is a business. This is, if you were doing a contract for excavation and you had a customer and the agreement was they gave you 1/3 down before you start the job, 1/3 when you're half complete and 1/3 when it's finished, that's the terms, that's the payments, that's the contract. You would not go into a job for $1 million without a contract in hand, without a specified time that you're going to get paid, a specified time when the project's going to be done. Yes, there'll be hooks and there'll be things that happen and there'll be problems, but you need something in writing that you can amend later if you need to, but you need it in writing. You have to have a starting place, you have to have an ending place, and you have to have performance goals along the way. That's the way the world works.
I'm going to go over to Dave Senecal. He hasn't had an opportunity. Do you want to say something, Dave, or do you want to bow out?
My only comment is that I don't know what kind of a time frame we're going to be under if these cost sharing with these studies and the RFP. How long is it going to take for us to get an answer?
Could know in a week. I just got to make two phone calls.
You can't just interrupt. He was speaking, okay?
So my concern would be the time frame. As far as what Brian is saying, we can get these studies, and the fellow from ERA, was it?
He said...
We met at the museum?
Tom, Charitable Trust, Hampshire Charitable Trust.
He seemed very upbeat about it, I thought. If it's, and I think I'm probably going to get outvoted, make a motion for these cost sharing, for the studies to be done. My concern is a time frame. I have no idea what kind of time frame these guys are under to get these studies done. We're going to have to wait another year. I don't think that's fair to us or the museum.
I'd like to kind of piggyback on that. And one of the things I did, and I spent some time thinking and mulling over in my mind what is the best way, and I went and picked the Alba Architect report, summary report of January 2020, and it gave future operating costs, and it added a 2% inflation, and it said the only additional cost was going to be $10,350. And then I was looking at the budget book today, or last week, for the town hall. Just to service the air exchange and heat in here is $10,000 a year. So there are all sorts of expenses that were not part of this quick, and I don't think we really asked them to do an in-depth quick look at what the cost to run the Libby. I agree. If we're going to go out and ask the voters to approve a warrant article, that we should be able to let them know what the full cost to them will be, and that is that economic viability. I think it's going to be hard to sell it if we're saying, well, we're really not sure of that. I think that makes sense that we push to get this. It should help the project go forward. It isn't for a stumbling block to not make the project go forward. I think it's needed, and I think it will make it, if we have a clear management plan and we have an economic viability, I think it'll be far easier to sell this project to the town and to the budget committee last time, who voted 0 to 8. Brad?
Yeah, and go along that line a little bit. If we put an RFP out, we could actually have that include a deadline for the completion in that RFP that goes out, so that whoever responds to it, we interview or whatever, would know that we need to have this report done and in our hands by whatever date we determine, have it so we can get our budgeting ready for that 2023 warrants and stuff there. So it'd probably be in the fall of 2022, I would assume, would be the time frame we'd want it in. So I think that could be easily addressed right in the first document that even goes out to get this rolling. So
I think we not until November do we start doing warrant articles. So really, by the 1st of November, if we had it, it would work. Look, did you want to say something?
So I just wanted to clarify, so the endowment money that's set aside for the $86,000 that's set aside in that fund for the Libby.
That was a gift.
That was a gift for the Libby. To get this thing going, I mean, we're the trustees of the Libby, so we could expend those funds if we want to, even if we're cost sharing this with the Friends, we can put the money up and get this thing going, and when the Friends have whatever the portion that they decide is okay, or we decide is okay to help us out with these things, we can get these things going with those funds, correct?
absolutely.
Brian?
I agree. I think that we can use that fund, and then if this gets the fundraising going for the Libby and they get their $1 million donor in, whatever, if they feel that they want to partner with us, they could pay half the expense of the reports back to us.
So are we generally in consensus of this MOU? Do we want to revise it to add the sentence, the motion, the second motion of September 15th, which is?
Was it September 15th or the 22nd?
It says, I'm reading the document, and they were both on the same thing. It says September 15th, 2021. I think they were both on a September 15th meeting. Let me see. I think I had a copy of it.
I thought I pulled it out of the September 22 minutes, and that's where Brad made the last motion where it said that we would include.
I'm looking what's literally on they were both the same night. This one was the first one. It was down the bottom, and this was at the bottom of that page. So I think they're both the same night. So I think they are both the 15th. So I don't know if you want to do that. I'm not going to, because I voted against this. So it's you four who need to decide what you want.
If we include the motion as voted on by Brad, Dave, Luke, and I in the MOU, I'm all for signing the MOU.
Board? Buddy?
I think we should just get some language in there also that we're going to partner with the Friends of Libby to develop these the business plan and the economic viability study. It's not going to be just put on one group or the other to perform it or get it performed. That it's going to be a partnership and a team effort there to work on these.
We said this back. We do have a number of budget committee meetings. It doesn't have to wait all the way to our next board meeting. Do you want to pull the committee back together, see if you can rework the wording? We have a budget hearing on the 25th and the 28th, so either one of those we could come back, if that is what the board would like to do.
I would say that's acceptable.
Do we want to shoot to get it, can you think you can get it back by the 25th? Or do you want to have until the 28th, Brad? I'm looking at Brad and Brian, I should be,
I can meet any day. I'll meet any day, any time for this.
I think the sooner the better, I think, so.
So we tentatively try to get it for the 25th, all right? And if you can't, then we can kick it off to the 28th, but let's try to get it by the, and therefore, okay. I need a motion to come out of the Libby trustees meeting.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And I don't see us taking any action in public other than saying that we're going to come back to this MOU on October 25th. All right? So we're down to other business. Does anybody have any other business?
Linda?
Yep.
With the board's approval, I have a Zoom meeting scheduled with the Yale Peabody Museum of Natural History in New Haven, Connecticut. And they're willing to talk to us and give us information about running a natural history museum. They're in the process right now of renovating their museum and expanding their museum. And I spoke with Susan Rodriguez, who is the director of their Museum of Natural History and one of their head university professors, David's last name, and I'll get his last name, David, and they said that they would put a Zoom on for us, and as the chairperson, I would like you to participate with me because I think you have invaluable information on the Libby and more than I have because you've lived this a lot longer than I. But with the board's approval, I would like to have that Zoom meeting.
Comfortable with that? Dave, are you comfortable with that? Brad? Okay. We'll bring back a report. It sounded kind of interesting. Brian had called me up, and I said that I felt that we needed to make sure everybody was comfortable before any of us go do something like that. So, thank you.
The professor's name is David Skelly.
Oh.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Any other business? Hearing none, we're moving on to committee reports. And I'll start down there with Brad, and we'll come this way this time.
Okay, last night we had a planning board meeting where the planning board has presented the CIP, which we all saw tonight. And then the only other meeting I had was the meeting that Brian and I had with the Friends of Libby Museum to go over the MOU and come up with the wording on that and stuff. So that was it for me.
Dave?
I had no meetings. And
You had one. You went with us all to the Libby Museum. We all
all the others are because of budgets, and they happen to fall on the same nights as we've been doing budgets. I've missed probably 3 so far, and I noticed I got 2 more that I'm going to miss.
Yeah. Well,
It's okay.
all righty, we all went to the Libby Museum to speak with Mr. Donovan of the New Hampshire Charitable Trust. I had a Wolfeboro Waters meeting. We talked about the Wolfeboro Bay Environmental Study, and we reviewed a brochure put together by the Lake Winnipesaukee Association and subcommittee, our mitigation subcommittee of Wolfeboro Waters. It was very nicely done. I did an interview with Mr. Baggy, the new treasurer. I have had 2 meetings with the Libby Search Committee. They are down to 6 semifinalists. They're going to do video interviews on Friday and next Monday in the afternoon. So we're getting that done. I had a meeting with the Friends of Pop Whalen. They're working on fundraising. I went to an EDC meeting, and they voted to support looking at housing opportunities on Laner Street as part of the charrette. And I went to a EOC meeting today.
I was at the Libby with you guys, and then public safety complex with Neo was also on last week about the second fire station over in on 109A, the plans for that. I think we're going to be getting updated numbers on everything. That might even be more than what we originally thought recently. So I think those are being updated. So I'll keep you informed on that. And then I was on vacation. So.
Thank you. Brian?
We had that great meeting. I thought it was a great meeting with Tom Donovan from Department of Justice at the Libby Museum. Very informative, learned a lot. We've had lots of budget hearings and some fantastic food. Thank you, Brad, Dave, Luke. We had a nice meeting with the Energy Department. I had the Energy Committee, where they said that their energy study is complete and they're doing the final analysis of it. They're looking at more ways to do ice rink efficiency, and they've met with Victor Druin. And we think the rate for the chargers, we initially were going to do about 14 cents a kilowatt. We think we're going to do 20 cents a kilowatt because we want to cover the $5.51 meter charge also from charging. That's still reasonably inexpensive when you look at the average cost per kilowatt for the rest of New Hampshire. Most people are paying 19, 20, 21 cents a kilowatt, all said and done, if they're from Eversource or New Hampshire Electric Co-op or something like that. So it's almost like charged like you're being charged at home. We're charging them the same amount. And I've been going down and visiting the lot behind the train building, and it's coming out beautifully. It really is. What a fantastic job they're doing.
Yeah, I've been down there too. Nice. All right, town manager's report.
Just a couple things. Obviously, a lot of budget meetings. It seems to be going well. Thank you for your patience. We're just about there. The other big thing, I had a conversation with State Rep John McDonald yesterday afternoon. The state is proposing some redistricting. If the redistricting takes place as one of the proposals that is out there, we would lose our 2 representatives. John is recommending that we craft a letter to be able to send in to have them reconsider the fact that we need our 2 representatives for Wolfeboro. With your permission, I'll work on crafting that letter for the board to sign.
That would be great.
Yep. Other than that, it's just attending a lot of the meetings that you guys have already mentioned. Other than that, I've got nothing else.
Okay. Do I have any questions from the press?
Losing representatives from Wolfeboro, saying that 2 representatives who represent only Wolfeboro.
So it's my understanding it would combine multiple communities with those 2 representatives. I believe it was including Effingham, Wakefield, Brookfield, but Mr. McDonald said that that information is available on the state website regarding there are multiple proposals for redistricting.
Yes. All righty. Time for public input, 3 minutes per person, not to exceed 15 minutes.
And then there was one.
Up to the mic, so everybody can hear you.
Would somebody announce about the charrette that's going to be this weekend? The timeline, I don't have it memorized. Probably on the wall or something.
The charrette is going to be on Friday and Saturday.
Pass it over, Luke. I have a copy of it.
And the public sessions is 3:30 to 5 is the first one. The second public session is 6:30 to 8. And the presentation to the community is 3 o'clock on Saturday. Thank you for reminding us. All right. Any other public comments? All right, hearing none, I need a motion to go into non-public session under RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, small a and c.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in, oh, I got to go down.
Yes.
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 All righty.